I do want to move on to this discussion of the border because Chad is there in Texas. And I'll tell you, I've been watching Governor Abbott, and I was so proud of what he did to fight back. He put the wire up. He said, if you're not going to defend Texas, I will. And then the federal government, the Biden administration, sued to take the wire down. And then he said, you know what? I'm still have a duty to protect Texas because it is an invasion. This is the letter that he sent that he says it is literally the failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4, Section 4 has triggered Article 1, which says that the states have a right if they're being invaded. Chad, let me just ask you, as the guy in Texas right now, what is the reaction of Texans to what Governor Abbott is doing?
I think there's a lot of solidarity, Sean. I think there's a lot of folks that are finally fired up that Greg Abbott is doing something and not just saying something. Listen, Greg Abbott, he and I have traded barbs and crossed swords in the past. He is the consummate politician. He's very polished. He knows how to raise money. He knows how to get elected. He is probably the most powerful governor that the state of Texas has ever known, just based on his unilateral decisions he's made since he's been in office for 3 terms now. But the biggest complaint in Texas has been he says it when it's campaign season, but he never does it. I mean, you can see his border rhetoric going way, way back. But the fact that he's taking action now, and we're highly encouraged. I know that there's those of us who are excited to see Governor Stitt in Oklahoma and in Virginia and Florida showing solidarity
Georgia
with the state of Texas, offering manpower as well as resources. Because this is a crisis on many levels, but I think as a nation, what we're seeing, particularly in Texas, Texas, people talk about Texas seceding and they talk about the Texit bill and Texas having been a republic. The heart of true Texans right now feel like the federal government has seceded itself from us. They are literally allowing an invasion. The vice president maybe has spent an hour on a layover in El Paso. Joe Biden doesn't know what state he's in at any given time. So they have no clue about the border. And we've seen that Mayorkas is going to just give us up. And listen, we can't help but believe we've been abandoned because the federal government truly does want Texas to fall. It wants it to fall because we are a major cog in their plan. So I think we're excited in some respects. We're fearful in others, but we're in all things proud that Governor Abbott has chosen to do this. And it's a powerful tactic.
Stacy, as I said, you're on the radio every night. I feel like for the first time, Republicans have an issue that unites well beyond the party base. This is something that independent suburban moms who are feeling the effects of fentanyl come into their community, people who are scared, rightly so, that terrorists are entering the country, can all unite by. I always feel with the Republican Party, sometimes we snatch victory from the hands of, we're like, okay, let's move on. This is the first time where I feel like, let's all unite and fight to win.
Yeah. And I think Governor Abbott has issued the rallying cry because he has to. And I've been waiting for this moment. Born in Texas, don't live there anymore. But I'm going to tell you, I have a great heart for the state and I love the people. And I think Governor Abbott has done a lot more talking than action up until this moment. And when I saw the ruling come through on Twitter, I'm looking at it and thinking, what's wrong with Amy Coney Barrett? Is she bought off, or is this an emotional ploy? Have they been working on her, the other female justices on the left, working on her to convert her to their side? And that's a definitive possibility. And so I'm looking at this and I frankly was afraid, because I thought without a deterrent at all, the numbers will increase every single month. We're talking about 8.5 million people here. And that does not include the gotaways, because that's just an estimate of how many of those people have come in. Terrorists, people from third world countries, mostly military age men. It has been a nonsense fest, and it's intentional. But your point, Sean, is well made. On this issue, there is no Democrat or Republican. There is only moms and dads and your kids getting kicked out of their high school so migrants can live there. Your grandparents being kicked out of a state-run old folks home because migrants need to live there. Every part of your life being impacted by people who shouldn't be here and are demanding services that are reserved or should be for citizens. So absolutely, this is the issue that Ronna McDaniel and every person, I know Scott Prather is getting out the boat. So many people who are working hard on our behalf, including yourself, including everybody on this panel, we have to keep this as our number one issue, because it's the one issue you can't say, oh, you're a racist, or Stacy, you hate brown people because you want immigrants to go back home. I want to see the flights not into the interior of the country. I want to see governors giving these people an option to fly back to their country of origin or no more services. That's what they should tell them right at the bat. I know you have a new puffer jacket and a $900 stroller, but that's the last American taxpayer dollar you'll get unless you take a flight back to your home country. And these people will fly home. They absolutely would do it. So that's what I'd like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Amy, I mean, Jenny, Beth, let me get back to this issue, because this is all on the backdrop of House Republicans going after Alejandro Mayorkas and trying to impeach him. You've been very outspoken on this. Do you think that where does that fit into this, right? In other words, is this a good time to do this and double down and get, we dunk on Alejandro Mayorkas because it amplifies the problem and the issue? Or do we sort of let this Abbott thing be the focus for right now? And I'm not saying we don't impeach Mayorkas, but the question is it better to do two things at once, or is it better to focus on what's happening in Texas, the actions of Abbott, and then go, okay, let's push this thing to the right maybe a week and then go after Mayorkas?
I haven't thought about changing the timing of it, but the House is out this week, so they won't be doing anything on Mayorkas until next week at least. And it seems like the American people have the attention span of a tweet, like a second or two, and then they're ready to move on to the next thing. So I think we just need to keep the most important thing is that we keep showing the problems, because the border has been insecure, and not even just insecure, but wide open. We truly are being invaded. Governor Abbott is right about that. Alejandro Mayorkas told Congress that he had operational control of the border. That is actually a legal term. He does not have operational control over the border. He doesn't have if you consider open borders control, he has that, but he has no control over the border. It's obvious. In the past week, we've seen tweets from people who've entered the country who have said, you don't know who I am. You should know who I am. You'll know who I am soon. And then we follow up with that and we see that this looks like a man who's already been in prison because he was plotting terrorist plots. And now he's in the country and we don't even know where he is. There's a video right now that James O'Keefe highlighted last night or this morning from a citizen journalist who has taken the entire trek going all the way from South and Central America, all the way up through the border, going through the jungle, going on the train. It is shocking what all is happening and how many non-government agencies and the UN are involved in helping the cartels do this. People are harmed, they're raped, some of the people die, some of the people encounter additional violent crime on the way here. Then they get here, they get through the border. I right now, this year and last year, Arizona is very important. So I'm in and out of Phoenix quite a bit. Every time I'm at that airport, I see people walking around. They have their phone, a cord for the phone, and they have papers and a Ziploc bag, and that is all they are traveling with. Those people are not American citizens. They are not normal foreign travelers moving through to tour our country or businessmen. These are people who just got over the border, and they're going all over the country. Every state, every county is a border county and a border state. What Governor Abbott is doing is trying to help every single place in the country because he's trying to stop the flow. Mayorkas should be doing that. He has not done it, and I think it is worth impeaching him over it. And one more very quick thing.
Yeah.
The National Voter Registration Act does not require people when they register to vote to prove citizenship. So many of these people may wind up voting. And in the state of Arizona, if you don't prove citizenship, you are given a federal only ballot so you can vote in federal races. We have to fix that, and we need Congress to act on that immediately. Only citizens should be voting to determine who is the next president of this country, and the same for the United States Senate and Congress.
Yeah, if I can make one point on that before I want to get to Chad and what's going on in Washington, but I feel like the media likes to say, well, there's no examples of this because we can't. And I think that, to your point, there needs to be people who document this. Here is this person, here's them not, as a citizen, and here's them voting, because the media wants to pretend that this doesn't exist. And I think you're on to something. But Chad, we talked about Governor Abbott and what he's doing to protect Texas, frankly, the United States. But there's a lot of talk, especially in the last 24 hours, about what's going on in Washington. One, the general bill that Senator Langford in Oklahoma has been working on, and whether or not that's effective at all. But then yesterday, there was this idea that Mitch McConnell apparently floated at a Senate Republican lunch saying, well, let's separate the Ukraine aid from this because we need to keep it basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically saying, hey, we need to keep this as a political issue because Trump wants it as a political issue. And of course, now the cynics are saying, see, the Republicans actually don't want to solve this.